This YCN segment is brought to you by H.R. Clough and Kearsarge Heating, your local energy specialist.
Welcome back. YCN Sports Talk. Jeremy Stout, Brett Franklin. One final segment as we head up to the board for our top 5 Super Bowl contenders. And Brett, we will start with you. Number 5, who you got?
Well, we'll start with the AFC. I'll go with the Oakland Raiders, Jeremy. I think the big question, though, is what are you going to get from Derek Carr coming off that significant injury that derailed their playoff hopes last year? Now, I expect him to be okay, but you just never know with a significant injury. We talked about it on the radio today. Until you get in that live situation and the pocket's collapsing around you and you got guys chasing after you, it's still wait and see, but I think Oakland's really the only team in the AFC that's going to that could give the Patriots any sort of trouble.
All right, now my number 5 pick, I'll go to the NFC, and I'm taking the Cowboys with that injury or the suspension looming for Elliott. I don't know what they'll do in the division, but I do think they still will be a contender, so they're at my number 5 pick. Who you got number 4?
Number 4, I'll go with Seattle, and I know the Seahawks, they lose, or they haven't had Marshawn Lynch for a while, and I know their offensive line wasn't very good last year, but I just think of that NFC West, it's just really beaten down. They should be able to get 10, 11 wins this season and get a couple of home games. And they got Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll who've been there. They've won a Super Bowl. I think when you have a good quarterback-coach tandem, that gives you some sort of hope. And I think Seattle will win 11 games this year, but I have them at number 4.
All right, my number 4 pick, speaking of coach and quarterback tandem, I think this team, they have a good one, but they might be on their last leg, as Ben Roethlisberger
literally on his last leg.
That's true. Talked about possibly retiring. He's back. It looks like all their players are back. They're going to give it one final run. The regular season shouldn't be too tough for them. Just a matter of what they can do in the playoffs and shore up that defense. They're at number 4 for me. Who you got?
I don't have the Steelers in my top 5, Jeremy. When a quarterback doesn't even know if he wants to be
play
there, that's a big question. Number 3, I'm going to go with Big Blue, the New York Giants. And I know this is going to make some of the Giants fans out there really happy. And really comes down to Eli Manning. His time is coming short here. He's been in the league for over a decade. You do have one of the best wideouts in the NFL, but what do they have on defense? And do they have any sort of running game to complement the passing attack? But I do like New York to possibly challenge not only for a division title, but possibly to get back to the Super Bowl.
All right, well, that is every Patriot's worst nightmare, meeting the Giants.
Maybe sweet revenge.
Maybe. I'm hoping the third time's the charm. My number 3 pick is the Seahawks, and I think that NFC West division is theirs for the taking. Much like you said, they do have a good core, and last year they had some hiccups. I think they're back. The NFC West should be theirs. I'm taking them as my number 3 team.
Number 2 for me, Jeremy, the Dallas Cowboys. And I know you had some question marks, like you said earlier. You had them at number 5. I think the Elliott suspension is going to get reduced. I really do. And I think that's going to bode well for the Cowboys. One concern is that sophomore slump from Dak Prescott. If they don't have Elliott for the first couple of games, which one of them includes a matchup against the Giants in Week 1, how do they handle that when they don't have the balance, which they had all of last year? But I think you just have to put Dallas at number 2 for challenging in the NFC.
All right, and my number 2 team, they're not even on your list, and I am taking the Packers. I just think maybe this year is the year that all clicks. They got some more offensive weapons. They hopefully shored up some of their running game problems, and they still have Aaron Rodgers. I think the Packers, number 2, they're in my top 2.
Packers, I left them off because terrible defense, and the head coach has become an Achilles heel over the past couple of years as well.
Yeah, he hasn't helped them out, that's for sure.
Number 1, guess who? The New England Patriots, right? I mean, it's, again, we've talked about it on the radio all week. What team is going to challenge the Patriots? And not only did they have weaknesses, Jeremy, but they filled those weaknesses. They added on to depth in the secondary. They added on to some wide receiver core. They have a good chunk of their offensive line coming back and a very good running back core. Patriots, by far, and even Vegas agrees, the odds are very much in their favor.
Yeah, and obviously I agree with you on that one. Patriots get my number 1 pick as well. There's just too many paths for them to get the win. They're going to win the division, even if they have to sit Gronk for a couple games. Obviously, we talked about the Edelman injury will slow them down a little bit, but not enough. There's just too many ways for them to at least get to the Super Bowl, and then who knows what happens after that. So there are our top 5 picks. He's Brett Franklin. I'm Jeremy Stout. Don't forget, every weekday from 12 to 1, you can hear Brett on ESPN Radio, 94.5 FM, 1400 AM, and 1230 AM. And also this Friday night, they will be at Hartford as Hartford takes on St. Johnsbury at 7 p.m., and myself and Andrew Zerhide will be at Kearsarge You can watch that on Saturday night as Newport and Kearsarge open up in New Hampshire. WYCU at 7, WYCI at 6, and WYCX at 5 on Saturday night. Also check our website, ycnnow.com, for schedule of our show, YCN Sports Talk. Thanks for watching. Have a great week.